Today we're making knobs for jigs. Homemade. Ain't no reason to go out and buy them. Make them yourself. Stick with me and I'll show you how we're going to do it. What I want to do is make a knob for my, well, specifically any jig, but specifically for my plunge router. This is a fence where I can make mortises and that kind of thing. But we can use them. These are a little thick and a little big around. So what I was wanting to do, I was going to take this 1/2 inch plywood and start with it. I've got an 1.5 inches. In other words, when you measure this, it's the plug that comes out of this will be 1.5 inches. So that's what I thought we would try. 1.5 inches is right there. I put this hardboard down. Maybe you can see it, that light color right there. Sometimes it gets tough to see. So I'm going to lay this thing out and just see what it looks like. If we need to, I can sand it off and start again. But I kind of thought we will get an idea what it looks like. And I figured I'd bring y'all along to show you just how my thinking process on some of this stuff. So if that is 1.5 inches, I'll probably, okay, I need to come in. Let's say if that's 1.5 inches, I'm going to come in more than that. So why don't we come in 2 inches? I will drop down 2 inches that way and 2 inches that way. We'll see. Well, that would be the outer limits. But anyway, we want to make sure we don't run out of space. Well, kind of crooked, wasn't it? Well, there went my lid. I used to use them little pencils. I got them there somewhere. But the lid was breaking all the time. So I just went with number 2 pencils and kind of having pretty good luck with it. Now I got to mark at 2 inches. Where do you reckon it's at? Right there. Right there. So what we're going to do, that's our cross right there. When you're laying your template down, you have a north, south, east, and west mark. So what we're going to do, we're going to take 1.5 inches. You line up those 4 marks, the north, south, east, and west ones, and then that'll have you lined up. But right now we're doing, that's probably going to be a point that we take to the drill press, because it is what it is here, but I just want to get an idea of what this is going to look like. Okay, the T-nuts, they call it. This area right here, it needs a 3/8 hole for this to slip in. That needs to be 3/8, and it'll just slide right in there. So I have a 3/8 drill bit for that, but I thought about having these areas right here, which this is a big one, we're making a smaller one, have 1/2 inch, have smaller holes. So I was going to see what that looked like. So if I go 1/2 inch, well, if I went right here, it would be like that and real abrupt. I was wanting to make it a little shallower and try that. Of course, these are way too shallow. So if I went with, let's say, 2 inch. All right, let's say I want 2 inch. And what I'll need to do now, these are going to be center. I bet it's too much. Let's see. Yeah, that's too much. So So let's say 1.75 inches maybe. Of course, I'm a searching and looking and a hunting. I had a viewer one time, she liked the way, well, I say she, it could have been a guy, I don't know. That's one thing about the comments, it's hard to tell with, male. There's a lot of good female woodworkers out there. Yeah, that's not enough. We're just gonna go, just pretend I didn't do them outside ones. So what we need to do, remember we need north, south, east, and west. We could use a compass, but that'd be way too easy, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, we got our north, south, east, and west right here. So let's take, now this is a 1/2 inch. Which one's 1/2 inch? Yeah, right there. So let's take our 1/2 inch and line up and what we're doing, I'll just put it right here to where you can tell. See, this area right here is going to leave. Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to work good. Wish I hadn't put them other marks on it, you could tell more about it. Okay. If you can imagine these outer marks not there, and probably we'll go ahead and we get the full effect to it. That center hole is going to be 3/8. So that's going to go away right there. If you can tell, there's where your knob is. So I like that just fine. But I do have where I need to make these points here. That's going to be the center of a drill bit. That will be the center. Center. We'll go over to the drill press, and what I'll do, first thing we'll do, we'll drill these 1/2 inch holes and then that 3/8. No, I can't do the 3/8 because I gotta have a place for it to, it needs to be the first one in right here in order to hold it true. But then but I do need to go ahead and drill them. Then I'll drill that, and then we'll do the center hole last. And we'll try it out and see what it looks like. We may go to spindle sander and knock off the rough edges. We got to keep our hands, free of splinters, so to speak. Well, all right, let's go to drill press. Well, I believe we got it. If I know this was the procedure the exact ones I was going to do, I would batch them out. In other words, I'd do all 4, 6, 8, whatever I was doing. But being since how I'm really trying to figure out, okay, is this the one I want? That kind of thing. So I'm just doing one at a time. That actually takes a little longer, but well, you ain't messing all of them up. But I've got, let's see if we can't I think that's about what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can't go and get our T-nut in there. Well, that side lacks a little bit. Okay. On hardwood, I've had to drill little bitty holes to guide them things in there. Usually just drive right on in. So basically, what we're going to do, what I'll wind up doing, getting on the spindle sander and rounding them corners off. They're kind of sharp right there. But that is going to, yeah, that's going to work fine. And yeah, you can get pretty close to them too. Okay, well, I'm going to go on and make the rest of them. And the thing about it is, yeah, that's going to work good. I put my router back on here, and I was going to put another. I had a viewer suggested to offset them. I still would have to use the smaller because this was hitting the router. If I'd have known beforehand, like this is a prototype, what I could do is make it about 4 inches longer, 2 inches on each side, and then I'd have plenty enough room to put 2 runs of this and offset each fence to where this knob be here and this knob be here, and they kind of go by one another, and you put it right. Most of the time, you're going to be doing wider stuff. I chose a narrower stock, but most of the time, what you would do is say you was going to do a mortise on a table leg. This would be representing on the lathe or a taper. I've seen them straight tapers either way. But you'd have a pommel right here. And what you would do, you would sandwich this in it, which even that leg right here is plenty wide. In other words, you would come in here and put your mortise right here. And that other piece I had at the time would probably, you'd cut the tenon on it to go into here. But I chose a narrow one to show you how narrow you can get. But in reality, if you do a table leg and going to mortise a skirt in, it'll be something that wide right there. And what I've got would work fine, but I thought, well, while I was at it, I was wanting to make some more anyway. I'll make 3 more and we'll just see how that looks. Anytime you can make something, I always tried to make it. You can buy anything, but you know, 2 things. One is if you make it yourself, you can make it like you want it. And 2 is more times than not, it'll be cheaper. I wouldn't be afraid to say more times than not, it'd probably be better made if you want the truth about it. In not all cases, but in more than not, you'll probably wind up making something better than you can buy. And it's something for you to be proud of too. So I'm going to make them others. We'll come back and we'll talk about this a little bit more. So I've got it all put together and made the other knobs. And I push it up just as close as I can get it. And where you can still turn the knobs is 7/16. But what you could do is get a nut and washer put right there, and you can put them right against one another. But that doesn't come up that often. Like I say, if you're doing a mortise for table legs, it is going to be wider. So I'm proud to get that on there. I use 5/16 T-nuts. carriage bolts, 5/16 carriage bolts. However, you just get the carriage bolts for the length you want. Makes dandy little old, in this situation was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I wanted to show y'all my new knobs. Got new knobs for the jig. So if appreciate you joining in. Hope you learned something. Nothing else, you can make your own knobs. I like making my own stuff. Sometimes you gotta buy it, but most of the time we'll make it ourselves. It's any way possible. It's the journey, that I like. Well, all right. Hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So y'all be safe. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll catch you on the next one.